See what is available to me and what's not. Let me see what I want to continue, what I want to take with me on my journey and what I don't. Are y'all really like sciencing it out? 20 Toya 4. I like that, Toya. Oh, you put your name in it. Manifest your own reality by infusing your own name. Let me see what is available to me and what's not. Let me see what I want to continue, what I want to take with me on my journey and what I don't. Are y'all really like sciencing it out? 20 Toya 4. I like that, Toya. Oh, you put your name in it. Manifest your own reality by infusing your own name. Let me see what is available to me and what's not. Let me see what I want to continue, what I want to take with me on my journey and what I don't. Are y'all really like sciencing it out? 20 Toya 4.
All right, so let's get into it, shall we? Lions Gate 888. Today is August 8th, 2024. August is the eighth month of the year. It's the eighth day of the month. When you add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4, you get 8. So it is 888. The Lions Gate is open. I'm going to talk to you guys about the Lions Gate, what it is, and its meaning in astrology. Um, I am not going to play the video that is on the Today Show's website, but I am going to use that for an explanation. Shout out to Mr. Shug to you. Shout out to Artisan MC. And the cynical one says hello to myself in the chat. Indigo Flow in the building. Shout out to all of you guys for coming through. Hopefully, you guys get something useful about the Lionsgate portal. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that you can see Hoda and Jenna right there. So they're talking to an astrologer. I didn't listen to or watch the clip, so I don't even know what they're saying, but we're not even going to worry about that. Let me put my fair use banner up just in case because I don't want no smoke. Um, but yeah, this is what happens when the brightest star in the night sky and Orion's belt align with the Earth. So yeah, like it says here, the Lionsgate portal is open. It's an astrological term describing the alignment of the sun in Leo, the star Sirius, which is the brightest star as seen from the Earth, and the constellation Orion's belt and the Earth. It usually happens between July 28th and August 12th, but August 8th is most pivotal because it falls in the middle of those dates. Now, thinking of the opening of that portal as a day reserved for the practice of manifestation, a cosmic pat on the back. All right? That's how you look at it. So if you've been scrolling Instagram or you've been scrolling TikTok or Twitter, you've most likely seen mention made of the Lionsgate portal. Hello, Snowman Multimedia. And so I wanted to shed a little light on that, given that it is Leo season, and I owed you guys a stream regarding Leos. I am a Leo, in case anybody here did not know that. I'm sure you did because I remind you all the time, but just in case I have a new listener who isn't familiar with me, you're going to learn a lot about me during this stream. Early at the top, I just want to give a shout out to the replay gang that will eventually come through. If you didn't catch this live, I appreciate you for hitting that play button after streaming. Shout out to Dave Tao. I love Toya too. She's all right. Even though, I struggle a little bit with making sure that people get me. Not necessarily that people love me because everybody's not going to love me and I'm fine with that. But I struggle with y'all understanding me. I do. because it's so many people that I have interacted with on this here YouTube that as the rap rats would say, got me fucked up. I'm censoring myself. Yeah, so like I don't know about you, but that's one of the worst feelings to have is when somebody just is committed to misunderstanding you. And it's like no matter what you do or what you say or how you present it, they just don't pick up what you're putting down. So I struggle with that and just trying to keep it in perspective and understanding that not everybody's going to pick up what you put down. But I try to be as transparent as possible with letting you guys in on who I am, what I'm up to, what I've been, where I've been, from from me telling you guys about how I used to be fat to um talking to you guys about what I'm up against in life right now, being unemployed, to having to move back to New Jersey after, like I think I've been rather transparent about my life and where I'm at in it and where I hope to go. Which is another reason why I wanted to do this stream today because, again, I want to capture the manifestation energy of the Lionsgate portal and really be intentional about um, my patterns, my actions, where I see myself going, and how it all adds up. So, if you are just now listening in, I'm going to get into it. We're going to go through all of the signs and what the Lion's Gate means for each sign. So stay tuned to hear that as well. If you had the opportunity to check out the thumbnail, that is a picture of none other than myself. I think I was about 7 in that picture. I was like 6 or 7 in that picture. Young Toya. So I posted that picture on some of my other social media. And people will always comment and say, "You're a ginger?" And I'm like, "No, if you look closely, my hair is not red at all. It's just very, very light brown." But I digress. Um, Even if I came up right now and showed you, like you could see my hair is very light. I just have very light hair. It's brown though. Um, and it gets lighter in the summer from the sun, which I appreciate. So much to be grateful for. So, anyway, astrologers consider this an opportune day for manifestation or concentrating on what you want to make a reality. Intentionally create your reality. Okay. The date packs a numerological punch too. Numerology is the idea that numbers carry with them specific association. 8 is the number associated with power, change, transformation. And since 2024 is an 8 year, the digits add up to 8. In short, this is a chance to dream big and believe in yourself. So, um, you'll hear most people say how the number 8 inverted represents infinity. So, a lot of the power that this date and this portal holds is because it never ends. So, if you think about stuff that you begin during this Lionsgate portal, it's going to have legs. Okay? Don't start none, won't be none. Okay? That really applies to today's date. Um, the peak of Lionsgate has great significance because of the light, the brightest star in the sky, Sirius, is shining its brightest. Okay, ancient Egyptians honored Sirius because they could see the star in all its glory, and it represents a connection to harvest, the new year, and it carries with it some warnings as well. So I will go through each sign and talk about what you can expect. or how this portal will affect you, maybe even how you could use it to manifest. So the first sign of the zodiac is Aries, right? So here it says reconnect with an old project that inspires your inner child. Embracing your passions will lead to a greater sense of positivity and joie de vivre. Joie de vivre quite simply just means joy of life in French. Joie de vivre. So if you've ever seen this word before, that's what that means. It's not Joey, it's joie de vivre. Uh, Shout out to Mrs. KP Bailey in the house. Love seeing her come through. Mrs. KP Bailey, I'm not sure if you caught my last live stream, but I did attempt to touch on black love, and that was inspired by you. So thank you for that alley oop. I did not get a chance to do it with BGS as you suggested. However, I hope that we can revisit it. So Aries, let your imagination run wild. You'll have a lot of creativity coming your way, which will bring those artistic visions to light. That's what this Lionsgate portal is going to impact for Aries. So moving on to Taurus. Taurus says, take time to be honest with your loved ones right now about your plans and aspirations. You may find they step up not only to help you, but to also cheer you on. So set aside some time with them and find yourself reestablishing your home life. Even maybe redecorating to connect with the family might prove helpful if you are a Taurus. That applies to you during this manifestation time. Gemini, make sure that you are clear with your friends when stating your opinions. Don't back down from your points of view, especially when you know you're right. However, do so gently. Let's not forget Mercury is also retrograde right now. So we all should be practicing a little patience and kindness with our words simply because Mercury is the planet of communication. And so that means that you will have some misunderstandings as it pertains to how you're communicating with others. And that is for every sign, it's not just Gemini. Gemini happens to be ruled by Mercury, so that's something that you also have to keep in mind. So yeah, make sure you're clear with your friends, Gemini, and uh, you might actually start feeling more close to those friendships or even siblings during this time. That's what the Lionsgate portal is opening up for Gemini. Um, yes, you're welcome, Mrs. KP Bailey. Anytime. Like I said, I appreciate you bringing it up and suggesting it. So I was happy to talk about it and make room for the conversation. I did it with a little bit of a spin. I brought in DMX's "How's It Going Down" and just talking about how that song is about 25 years old now, and it's still resonant today, which speaks so much more towards him as an artist, but also just about Black love and how unique and rare it is, which I think is why I find it so beautiful. Side note, I was out a few days ago and I saw a couple that just made me really happy to see. They just came into the bar for a drink. They didn't sit for a meal, they just had a drink. But you could tell um, they were very much loving each other and enjoying the time they were spending. And it was beautiful to witness. I mean, I didn't overhear any of their conversation. I just could tell that they loved one another. Aside from the fact that, when they got up and left, they embraced each other and gave each other a kiss. I don't know if that was just a, like, let's meet on my break and have a drink together type of thing, but it was really nice to witness. And anytime I see something like that, it warms my heart. It really does. Because I know what we're up against as Black people And even just us loving each other is a revolutionary act. So, anyway, I digress. Back to the Lionsgate portal and the readings for each sign. So, we just finished up Gemini. Let's move on to Cancer. It says, what does abundance mean to you? Try to cultivate a sense of all that you want already being yours. You can redefine abundance by being grateful for all that you already have. Now, that's a bar. Um, you might be seeing green during this time because you'll be able to heighten your bank account by manifesting money and abundance, Cancer. So don't take this Lionsgate portal lightly. Think about what abundance means to you and welcome some more of that in. If you know any cancers, pass that message along. If they're not listening right now, hopefully they get the idea. And moving on to Leo, my sign, the best sign, the biggest sign of the zodiac, because you know it's ruled by the sun, by the way. Uh, and we are in Leo season. So the Lionsgate portal can only happen during Leo season, and it only happens August 8th. No matter what year it is, it will always be August 8th is when the portal is open, its widest, and it's most potent. So, Leo, you're confident by nature. Remember that. You can bring more vigor and oomph into your life if you let go of the doubt you have been replaying in your mind and ignore the naysayers. Leos will be feeling themselves during this time, which shouldn't come as a surprise, but they need to use the energy to focus inward, how you can glow up and boost your confidence. Now, I got to stop right here and just spend a little time on this one because my confidence has been thwarted to a place that it never has been before. And I talked a little bit about that in probably the last 3 or 4 live streams, to be honest with you. Because again, just being transparent with you all, letting you all know where I'm at in life and that, this is probably I'm not calling this a rock bottom because it doesn't feel like that, but it definitely feels like I have never been this without resources in my life. Like I've never been this short on resources. And although I'm grateful for the ones that I do have and that I just got the chance to celebrate a birthday, um, just trudging through my early 40s as I am, um, it has me reflecting a lot and also just replaying a lot of those doubts. So, to what this Today article is saying about Leo, let go of the doubt I've been replaying in my mind and ignoring the naysayers. It's easier said than done, right? Especially if you are your biggest naysayer. And I tend to be. I tend to be in my head a lot. I tend to be looking at things from within. I always say it's an inside job, and I mean that because life is really about what you make it, not to be cliche. But if you can't look within and address and adjust what is going on there, you likely won't see any change without. So I appreciate and receive that because the doubts have been loud in my brain lately, just with reference to having to move back to New Jersey, back in with my mom, not being able to uh, pass muster for creating a life for myself. And really just coming to the conclusion that that's not how any of this was supposed to work. I'll get into that for our second topic, though. Moving on to Virgo, it says rather than get deep with yourself, get still with yourself. Don't overthink. State positive affirmations to acknowledge how amazing you are on the inside and out. Most importantly, practice self compassion right now, Virgos. Um, Focus on healing as well as self care. This would be a good time to set aside some me time, this Lionsgate portal, okay? Libra, the scales. Embrace a bigger social circle. You'll be surprised by how networking will be able to help you in the future in making your goals become a reality. So, this Lionsgate portal is asking Libra to get reconnected with relationships or friends from the past and maybe getting involved in your local community as well. just to, embrace that bigger social circle, make that come about, bring that to focus. The Lionsgate portal says to Scorpio, give your career the boost it needs by thinking about where you want to be next. Let your aspirations be known. So, the more precise you are, the easier it'll be for you to bring them to fruition and to swiftly attain them. You're working your way up that career ladder, so use this time to manifest greatness and elevate your career. Sagittarius, if you're longing to seek a new adventure and don't have the means to do so, this portal will give you the chance to manifest your travel plans. As long as you are precise with where you want to go, you might be in shock with how lucky you are, honestly. Um, you're going to send your love to the universe, which is really imperative for your travels. So keep that in mind as well. If you are seeking that new adventure, you can totally manifest it with this time period. Um, so go ahead and trust the Lion's Gate to help you with doing that. Capricorn, your intuition is on point. Pay attention to the psychic downloads that are being told to you at this time. Listen to your gut feelings. It might not feel natural since you're so logical, but it's necessary. Okay? You're going to be bringing extreme strength, dominance, and power to your life because you're the one in charge. All right. So you're a hardworking sign. We know that about you, Capricorn. But this Lionsgate portal is asking you to pay attention to what your intuition is telling you with reference to that hard work. Your gut's going to be rewarding at this time. Aquarius, you are the opposite sign to Leo. So we are sisters. You need to focus on maintaining or restoring your interpersonal relationships. Giving your all and best to another is something you've been yearning to do. So it's a season of love. You'll be able to elevate your current relationships or define an existing one. You might even be able to pull in a new partner during this time. Shout out to the Aquariuses listening. I love y'all. Pisces, make sure you do not take on too many responsibilities all at once. Instead, take on things that are fun and don't come with any strings attached. Give yourself the opportunity to be the beginner. This way, you'll be able to heighten your everyday routine and embrace a new hobby. Okay? But you've got to allow yourself to be a beginner first. That's the biggest part of this. All right, Pisces? Um, so, yeah, happy Lionsgate portal, everybody. This happens once a year, every year. Even if you're not astrologically inclined, just think about some things that you want to bring into your life. And if you combine those thoughts with the ideas that I just shared for each sign, you might be pleasantly surprised at what comes on the other end of that. Now, we were just talking about how Mercury is retrograde, right? We were just talking about how, um, oh, shout out to LXST in the building. Shout out to Trying to Be Fit Mom. Good evening. Um, Dave Tao said Virgos like Toya. I don't know about that, Dave Tao. Virgos and I don't necessarily mesh. Virgo is an earth sign. I am a fire sign. You know, not really the best combo. Virgos tend to be so meticulous and like painstakingly uh, accurate. Whereas I like to live by the seat of my pants a little bit and burn as brightly as I want to, wherever I want to. And I think Virgos tend to put a little bit of containment on that. And that's no fun. I don't hate Virgos though, but I definitely can pick up on those nuances that most Virgos carry. So, yeah, earlier I was talking to a friend about Mercury retrograde and just explaining to him what that actually is. So, most people make jokes about it, um, not really realizing the significance of it. Basically, I explained it to him as Mercury moving backwards, and because it's the planet of communication, if it moves backwards, then obviously that affects how you communicate. But Mercury also rules transportation and technology. And so it is actually an optical illusion that makes it appear like Mercury is moving backwards when it really isn't. But it's still something that uh, that really points towards difficulty in communicating, um, travel mishaps, technological mishaps. Like for example, you might send an email and think that you sent it, but it's not you the person you sent it to just never got it. And then you go back and check your inbox and see that it's still sitting in there for whatever reason, even though you swore you sent it. Okay. Those are the types of things that end up happening during Mercury retrograde. And earlier this year, how um I talked about how all of the retrogrades of this year were happening in fire signs. So we've already had Mercury retrograde in Aries earlier this year. And what dictates that is that the retrograde happens during when what sign the sun is in at the time. So we had we had the Mercury retrograde in Aries April 1st through the 25th. Now we're having it in both Virgo and Leo uh August 5th through the 28th, which is Leo season, but it also bleeds into Virgo season, which is why it's in both. Um, and then the last one we will have around Thanksgiving occurring in Sagittarius. So they only happen 3 times a year, and they only last for 3 weeks. And that's a good thing because you don't want these kind of mishaps happening for any longer than a 3 week interval. And because they happen 3 months apart, you get a nice little reprieve until the next one. You can kind of, whatever you didn't do to prepare for the one before it, you can kind of remember to do that for the next one, right? Which I love because we all need a reprieve sometimes. So it appears to look to move backwards, the planet Mercury does. Um, and that can be, oh, here we go. I have really got to figure out what is going on with my Google Chrome because it has been doing this thing lately where right in the middle of my live streaming, it'll say application not responding, and I'll get that color wheel moving. And I'm not sure why it does that, but it's annoying. So, anyway, shout out to the 18th letter in the building. Oh my gosh, APTV in the building. Absalom Pianki TV. He had a comment on one of my shorts the other day because I put up New York Nay talking about Megan the Stallion at Kamala's rally. So yeah, she's funny. I find her quite hilarious. But yeah. I don't know why my Google Chrome is wigging out on me like this. It is not okay. Um, hmm. Like it's allowing me to do certain things, but it's not allowing me to click on the chat right now. So hold on. Let's see. Let's see. What can I do? I I I'm assuming you guys can still hear me, but for whatever reason, I'm still getting like a I'm gonna quit and reopen. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. So yeah, I have Safari open with YouTube, and then I have Chrome open for StreamYard. And that's kind of how I typically do these. I usually have them both open. Hey, better you. So thank you for saying that you can hear me and that I'm good. But on my end, I'm like freaking out because everything is going haywire over here. Like I'm not, I don't know if I just need to update Chrome or something, but the past 3 live streams, it's happened to me. So I don't appreciate that. Um, anyway, so like I was saying, yes, travel disruptions and misunderstandings, absolutely, those are the things that happen. And you can always count on Mercury retrograde to bring that out, whether we want it to or not. So yeah, um, I want to get into Leo for a little bit. So there are 3 F's. When you think of Leo, you should think of 3 F's. You should think of fire, fixed, and fifth. Those are the 3 F's of Leo. Let me explain. So Leo is a fire sign. Leo is a fixed sign. And Leo is the fifth sign of the zodiac. Aries is the first. Aries is also a fire sign, but Leo is the fifth. Now, um, it says here we still call people fiery both as a compliment and an insult. Fire signs Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius certainly live up to their element. These 3 radiant signs are famous for their signature passion, creativity, and courage. We are natural born leaders who know how to bring the heat. So, the element of fire represents creation and destruction. Those are the consequences of fire. Fire can heat your home or burn it to the ground. Rituals around fire exist in almost every major religion. Lighting candles, cremating remains, um, burning lists. That's something I do at the full moon. Fire stories at the center of many creation myths. Fire is powerful stuff. So if Aries is the creator, then Leo is the performer. Occurring in the middle of the hottest season, Leo embodies the essence of flame. Symbolized by the regal lion, Leo knows it is zodiac royalty. In fact, Leo was very painstakingly aware of its own magnificence and its power to create or destroy. This sentence right here is me. I am painstakingly aware of my own magnificence and power to create or destroy. This is why I'm very careful not to anger because I said on my last stream, I don't know how to get back to the middle. I'm either burning or I'm not. It's either yes or it's no. It's either white or it's black. There's no gray area with me. However, I am learning I am learning to be more um in the middle. I'm learning to understand and embrace the gray areas of life. Um, I think this is probably why I'm having such a hard time right now because I'm so used to um, being either one side or the other and not having much wiggle room. And I think that part of what life is telling me or teaching me is that if you live somewhere closer to the middle, that is where your wiggle room lies. You don't have much wiggle room in general because you are either all the way over to the left or all the way over to the right. And life can't be lived fully in either one of those places. You have to come to the middle sometimes so that you can see better. So I'm learning that. Life is teaching me that. Um, no matter how strong willed and passionate I am, I have to be more understanding of that. And so, as we are in Leo season and we are at the height of the Lionsgate portal today being the 8th, I thought it would be pertinent to talk about. Yes, Vincent John Doom, we are talking astrology tonight, but I have also decided that I would talk about some other things as well. So, not just astrology. I'm going to get into some transparency about myself and that gray area I was just talking about. And I'm going to express some gratitude for my birthday week. You know, today it makes it a week out from my birthday. So, I'm winding down the celebration of my birthday. However, all Leo season is still a celebration for me. So, back to the article. Um, think of Leo as a decadent fireplace in a luxurious mansion, ready to be shown off in a shiny architectural digest spread. Yes, this hearth may be ostentatious, but it's also warm and safe. After a long day, Leo's fire can be relied upon for consistent comfort. Beneath the gilded mantle are bricks and mortar. Leo, loyal and constant, isn't going anywhere. That's the truth. That's, I think, the misconception about me. Um, while, yes, I am very much into astrology and I embrace being a Leo to the hilt, um, a lot of what it says about Leo is resonant with me because it really is who I am. And I don't expect any of you to put too much stock in that if you don't know me from a can of paint. But one reason why I have always been so transparent is because I want for people to see that I am here to be that brick and mortar. I'm a constant. I am a loyal person. I have no reason to remove my loyalty from you unless or until you show me that you don't deserve or desire it. The way you do that is being committed to misunderstanding me. Okay? I understand that things are not always going to be what they seem. And I understand that sometimes we don't get the luxury of explaining ourselves. But I do believe that with communication, you can overcome any misunderstanding. But two people have to be willing to meet somewhere in the middle, right? And because Leos are ruled by the sun, this is why we are always going to provide warmth and safety for those of the people who are in our lives. And so if I have said anything kind to you, it's because I really meant it and you can always count on that energy coming from me. I don't have a disingenuous bone in my body. If it doesn't feel right, I'm just not going to be there. I'm just not going to stay. Um it has to feel energetically good for me to stay and to pour into. So that's also a lot of the reason why you may feel like my contribution to YouTube is sporadic because if I don't feel like I'm in a good enough place to get up on this screen and get up behind this microphone and talk something to you guys, then I really won't do it because it doesn't feel energetically aligned. Sorry, I just wanted to drink some water. But when it does, I do. And so, even in the case of being misunderstood and misconstruing my intentions, I will always welcome the opportunity to have a conversation about it and get some better understanding because I am also understanding of the fact that even though you might be well intentioned, it may not land right. It may not hit the way you want it to. And we're all human, so we're all just trying our best, right? Vincent John Doom says being genuine and sincere is so important. Absolutely. Absolutely. We are 16 days into Leo season, so we're just about halfway through it, but we still got some time left before we get to those Virgos. All right, so like I said, it's a fire sign. It's a fixed sign, and it is the fifth sign of the zodiac. So three F's. There's three F's in Leo. I know that doesn't sound right, but just go with me here. As the article continues, as a fixed sign, Leo is reluctant to alter its ways and take advice. Even when change is absolutely necessary, it can be challenging for it to make material adjustments, especially if it wasn't its idea. Even if its entire estate bursts into flames, Leo will stay standing. A chimney barely hanging onto the skeleton of a house, as if to prove a point. Fire is a challenging element to contain, and Leo smolders, desperate to retain a selfish illusion of control. If that doesn't sum up my being in, trying to stay in, and reluctance to coming back from Texas, I don't know what does. Okay, I've been transparent with you guys about what it was like being there, how I was committed to staying there no matter if the change was absolutely necessary. I challenged it because it wasn't my idea to leave. The universe was saying, sis, you gotta go. My body was saying, sis, you gotta go. My bank account was saying, sis, you gotta go. Texas was saying, we don't want you here. And so my estate essentially burst into flames and I was still standing, injuries in tow, barely hanging on, as if to prove the point that I could still do it, regardless of so many things that were going wrong in my life. I've talked a little bit about that. Physically, I had things going on with my body that had never happened to me before and scared the crap out of me. But I was still like, "Oh, well, this is just something else that's going wrong, but I've got to deal with it and I'm going to turn it around and it'll be fine. I just got to get back to work. I just got to get back on the books. I just got to get some money in my bank account. And as soon as I do that, I'll be ready to go again. I'll be going. I'll be fine." Right? So I'm a very challenging person to change the mind of. I'm somebody, once I've decided something, that I'm going to stick with it regardless of what the fallout is or what I may endure. I still feel, if I strongly want something, there's really not much you can do to change my mind on that. But life has shown me, hey, okay, if you don't want to listen, we'll make it uncomfortable. We'll make it real uncomfortable for you. So part of being fixed is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing when you start to consider the stubbornness and selfishness that is associated with being so fixed and stubborn. Leo is ruled by the sun, and since the sun in astrology represents our ego, Leo is naturally egocentric. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. We need it to survive. Um, but self awareness is also a good thing, and having an ego death is also necessary. Like Vincent John Doom says, there's a relationship between seasons and migrating, for sure. And as I've closed out the Texas season and migrated back to New Jersey, um, my ego suffered a death. Reluctant, yes, very reluctant. I've always been reluctant to changes that I didn't want to make. Um, so, you know, while Leo radiates the warmth and brightness of its ruling element, you know, I have a natural flair for drama and a desire to be in the spotlight. That is a true statement about me. I don't want to be in that spotlight when I don't feel my best self, though. Um, and there's a lot to that because, seasons change, like Vincent John Doom said as well. And, there's a big connection to that and understanding, like, you're not always, the sun's not always out that for a reason. In Jersey here, we've been having some pretty gloomy weather the past couple days, and it's going to rain again tomorrow. I wanted to go to the beach yesterday, but that just was not in the cards. Not only was it not in the cards, we suffered some flooding here in New Jersey. Some people were kayaking through their streets because it was so bad. Um, so moving on to that egocentrism and what I was just talking about. Hey, Rogish, Mr. Rogish's neighborhood checking in and saying peace and ease from the pad. Shout out to that. Triple fire. Yeah, so let me pull up what I want wanted to share with you guys. And then we'll talk about it because I definitely said that I wanted to share a little bit about myself. And so I will pull that up from my Instagram. Shout out to Instagram. Vincent John Doe says resilience and withstanding is another way to look at how the fixed look like in real time and in behavior. Yeah, because I mean we're the ones, whereas the cardinal signs are the starters. They are at the beginning of each season. They are the ones who put things in motion. We are the ones who establish security and a foundation by which that starting can continue. And then the mutable signs are adaptable so that when things arise that weren't accounted for or allotted for, we have the flexibility to be able to make changes without disrupting that foundation or torpedoing that start, for example. So each sign and modality has a purpose. All right. So I have here, you see me in this red dress that I no longer have that I wish I did still have because I love that dress. But anyway, um it says, "Can we chat?" Right? And this is about my inability to have children. I'm coming up on my 6th anniversary of having a hysterectomy. You'll see more about that later on in this slideshow. So, see, it says here, I used to suffer from uterine fibroids and endometriosis. I went and got um, I got multiple doctors to look at me and really determine what's going on with me because I had known that I had fibroids, but the endometriosis diagnosis didn't come until later when things had gotten to the point where I was having excruciating pain during my period. I mean, I was taking 3 Aleve at a time during the first couple days of my period just to get through work and to be able to move around. And so, while uterine fibroids can be painful and they can be annoying, the endometriosis on top of that, as you can see here, like a normal reproductive system looks like the picture on top, but the one on the bottom is when you have stage 4 endometriosis. Now, I didn't have stage 4, but it did get to the point where it was so serious that I required a hysterectomy because I had been told I wasn't going to conceive naturally anyway. But as time went on, it got worse and worse, right? So when I found out in my late 20s that the option wasn't there, I ignored it. Okay. I also use this picture because people used to say I look like Fozzie. When I was younger, people used to say I look like Fozzie Bear. So yeah, oh, he said I'm a Virgo with Leo tendencies. Shout out to you, Vincent. Hey, Prince Mugo. Shout out to Prince Mugo. It's his birthday. Happy birthday. That's my air horn for you. Let me do this. Happy birthday, Prince Mugo. Shout out to you. This is celebratory dancing by some kids. So yeah. Um, it was not an easy time, but I think in my late 20s I was so wrapped up in other things that the weight of it didn't really hit me. It wasn't as serious as I thought, or I didn't think it was as serious as it was. I should say that. I didn't think it was as serious as it was at the time. I'm in my late 20s. I'm thinking, oh, you know, I got time because that's what they tell you, right? They tell you you got time. You don't have to worry about having children right now. These are all things that led to me feeling fine about not having them or feeling fine about not wanting to have them. Because I felt like I had time and it really wasn't that important, nor was I in a place to even consider being a mother. So I ignored the diagnosis. I went about my life like it was no big deal. That was mistake. That was a mistake, a big mistake. So here it says, fast forward to my mid 30s, and my gynecologist suggested a partial hysterectomy. Um, and at that time, I was like, all right, yeah, fine. We'll schedule it when it's convenient, right? I was like, all right, whatever. I wasn't going to have no kids anyway, so you might as well take these things out. No big deal. Again, being very flippant about it, except for when my period would come and I would have so much pain. That was when it was one time in particular that I was at work and I couldn't even sit down. I was in so much pain. I was so uncomfortable. Like nothing I would do would give me relief. And so I also had started to bleed more heavily, which I just was like, oh well, my body's just changing. There's so many things that happen to us as women that we just explain away by, oh well, this is just my lot in life. And I think if I had been more intentional about not only discussing what I was going through with my family, but also just getting second and third opinions from different doctors about ways to go about this, I would have had a different experience. But I think I also want to point out to you guys the fact that a lot of this is attributed to the gynocracy with reference to having loving women in your life that explain the beauty of the biological imperative. Being a product of a young mother and seeing how difficult it was for her colored a lot of my decision about not wanting to have children. And I think if there was someone there to stand in the gap and say, "But no, Toya, this is why you are here. As a woman, you are here to procreate. You are here to further along the legacy of your family and your family name." I may have looked at it differently. I may have warmed up to the idea more. It was unfair for them to tell me that. But, it's my truth. And so I put this out there on my Instagram and talked about it leading up to the um, hysterectomy because at that point, that was all I knew to do. I mean, the writing was on the wall. I had agreed to do this thing. And although I didn't understand the heaviness of it until years later, hindsight has me realizing that if I had had a more healthy experience with motherhood and what it meant to carry out the biological imperative as a woman, I probably wouldn't have been so hell bent on saying I don't want to have kids for so long. That was immaturity speaking. That was inexperience speaking. That was a lack of honor and reverence for the biological imperative that women are put here for. And I would hate to go through life not expressing that to other women who maybe need that push or maybe need that perspective and understanding. So I now look at it as a beautiful thing that I will never be able to experience, but that is my lot in life. I've got to deal with that fact. But it's also the reason why you may have heard me say on Mr. Z's channel that I would jump at the chance to be able to be a bonus mom. I would jump at the chance of being able to offer maternal insight to a child that may need it in the future, to my significant other's children, whoever that may be, if that is in the cards for me. I would jump at that opportunity now because I hold so much reverence for it that I never did before. So it also makes me think about the timing of things not being coincidental, right? So getting back to the slideshow, I struggled with symptoms for another year before I actually moved forward with the partial hysterectomy. I, again, really wasn't thinking it was a big deal. I was definitely having the bloating, the pain, the fatigue. Um, I felt like I was reverting because at this time, I was bleeding so heavily that I would soil my clothing and my sheets more. And this was stuff that I was doing at the beginning of when I started my period, which I was 11 when I first started having menstruation. Um, and so when you're that young, you don't really understand the importance of going to the bathroom and changing every couple whatever. And when you're at school and being bullied or ridiculed, and understanding the changes your body is going through, and so making sure that you stay fresh and neat and all of that stuff. While yes, by this time I had all that down pat, I felt like I had been reverting because now I was not able to control the volume of it, and it was showing up in places that, as a person in her 30s, you should really have had a you should have had some control over, for lack of a better word. And so yeah, I dealt with all of those symptoms for another year before moving forward. And then this is a picture of me at the hospital. That's my wrist. And but at this time I had to have a full. My consultation prior to the surgery, my gynecologist was like, listen, it's not going to be a partial, it's going to be a full, because I had 13 fibroids, and one of them was about the size of a grapefruit, and it was like, in order to ease some of this bloating and some of the pain that you're having on a monthly basis, I think it's going to be necessary for us to do a full, so you won't get a period anymore, and the option for you to have children is completely off the table, which I knew, but like she had to be very honest with me about that. And I just was like, hey, I'm 36, I might as well just let's just do it, right? So that's what you're seeing there. And then this is me in the recovery. This was I wrote, but 2 years later I'm a lot clearer and I feel a heck of a lot better, because I decided to share this information 2 years after I had already gone through it. Um, and if you look at my face there, I look pretty out of it. I look sad. Because I really wasn't, it wasn't that I was necessarily sad, but it was more so that I was just like, I don't understand what's happening right now. I don't really get it. I know just went through something major, but I don't really get all of what just happened here. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and be transparent with you all about um, how does someone like me get to this place in life, and why I don't have children, and no, I wasn't necessarily out here just having premarital sex with a bunch of people to get knocked up, because that was never on the cards for me. But it was also just physically impossible for me to do so without the help of like some kind of fertility expert or assistance. And, at that time, that wasn't even something that I really wanted to go through. I welcomed people giving me questions as well from my Instagram, because I feel like this is not something that's talked about enough. I was recently watching Love is Blind UK, and one of the young ladies that was in the pods was talking to her match and saying, it's hard for her to be vulnerable. And one of those things that she had to be vulnerable about was the fact that she has endometriosis. So fertility is an issue, and that it has kind of blown up some of her relationships in the past, because when a guy hears that, it's a very real thing to expect that, hey, you might not be able to have children with this young lady. And a lot of guys don't want to deal with that. A lot of guys say, look, I got a legacy I want to leave behind, and if you're not able to do that for me, then you got to go. And so that's something that even in my 30s, I was honest about with whomever I was seeing, whoever I would go out on a date with. That would be like first date conversation for me, because I wanted them to know, if that's something you're looking for, I'm likely not going to be able to give it to you in the traditional way. And so that was hard for me to even wrap my head around, having to be honest about, even before I unpacked all of the work that I've done to unpack and get to the point I'm at now, which is understanding that much of what I said about having children, much of my perspective about it was colored by things that didn't have anything to do with me and really shouldn't have had such an effect. But I digress. We're here now. Um, Rogish says, perhaps maybe a lioness is supposed to have trouble with weakness and vulnerability, but not a continuous state of it. I can agree with you there. It's not the way I operate best. I don't operate from a place of vulnerability best. But I can honestly say that as I have become more vulnerable, it has given me the opportunity to see myself through different eyes, to have grace for myself, and to see that the person that I was before wasn't very kind, not only to myself, but to the people I claim to love. And so I've had to go back and apologize to a lot of people over the past few months because this eye opening ego death has allowed me to see that that vulnerability that I've been running from all of my life is what's holding me back from having more full and wide experiences in my relationships. And that is all I want now. At this point in my life, that is all I want to have. Let's breathe, stretch, and grow together. I can't do that if I'm clinging so tightly to my vulnerability, and I never let you see that. And I mean you who are listening. Mrs. KP Bailey says, even after we have kids, we still need to surround ourselves with the positive models of motherhood. There's so much negativity around us. This applies to stepmotherhood as well. I totally agree with that. This is why I'm having this conversation because if anybody's listening to me and you know someone who's struggling with fertility in any way, or wanting to have children, or being a childless cat lady, um, I'm here to say, hey, consider the perspective of those who are doing it and actually are getting something valuable from it because those people are out there, those women are out there, those mothers are out there and willing to shed some light. And you just have to be willing to seek those perspectives. You can't stay so closed up and bottled up into where you're used to, where you've been used to being. You've got to step outside of your comfort zone. That's a part of growth. Red Pill Sleeper Cell said, check your Cash App. Okay. I love when y'all make that Cash App ring. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it. Shout out to him for the Cash App. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. The Cash App is always open and it is listed in the description. If you would like a quick link to it, you can just click on it from the description or here it is in the chat for your ease. Uh, hang on. That's not it. I almost posted something else, you guys. I'm not trying to inundate you with anything that you don't need to be seeing in the chat. Shout out to AB Media in the building. I see you there, sir. So yeah, I think it's one of those things that we really need to be more honest about. Like I was saying, watching Love is Blind kind of made me want to talk about this a little bit because she's in her early 30s and she has endometriosis and she tells this guy like, "Hey, I like you, I really do." But she's got a guard up because she's been hurt from telling people this before. And it's understandable. It's not something you really want to share. Um, and it's something that I think it's something that I think would behoove everybody to have the conversation about. So even if you're a man, go ahead and have that conversation with the woman in your life. Not necessarily a woman you're dating either. Just a woman that is of childbearing age and capability. Um, have those conversations because I think the more we talk about this, the more we can change the perspective of um, thinking you have all this time when you don't. Um, because childbirth is a biological imperative, and it is a call that I wish I could have answered. My opinion on it now is that I would never have said so many times and so emphatically that I didn't want to have children, knowing what I know now. And as I'm saying this to you, I'm saying it with my eyes closed because it's that strong for me. Uh, I also want to just talk about the fact that it's a it's a huge undertaking, and that my immaturity, I also know that this came from a place of immaturity because somehow I thought that by not having children, I could skip that. And what I mean by skip that is skip through all the development and growth that comes as a result of becoming a mother, including the expectation that society has of you being a mother. This is how I know it was rooted in immaturity because nobody can skip it. I don't care how developmentally delayed you are, how immature, how lazy, how unmotivated. You can't skip these things in life. You can keep living and skirting around it as much as you want to, but there's a direct relation to how you get along in life and your ability to confront what is for you and what you have to grow through and become. So, I'm saying this from a place of understanding that, oh snap, I couldn't skip that. I had to not only understand that that is why I'm here, and that by not upholding that biological imperative, I'm not skipping those lessons and that developmental growth that needs to occur as a woman, but that it's going to come from me in another way. Okay? And so that's where I am right now. Prince Mugo says, you would think off some women perspective of men, it would be right up their alley. Yeah, like Rogish says, sounds like you was trying to out feminism. Yeah, it sounds silly. It sounds nonsensical, but it's true. That is what I was essentially trying to do. It's so silly just saying that. It's so silly. Cause how, Sway? How you gonna do that? Good luck. Cause that's not how life works. That's not how any of this works. And I get that now. Hindsight is 2020. So no, I'm not gonna preach to any other young ladies. Oh no, don't have kids now. Don't worry about that now. Very opposite. Whenever I do have the ear of a young lady who's maybe in her 20s and maybe she's in and out of a relationship, hey, if this is someone that you really love, spend the time on cultivating. Because if you really want to be the best woman that you can be, the other side of that is bringing in another life to this world. But doing so under the umbrella of marriage. Understanding that, yes, there are people out here who are having children out of wedlock, but it doesn't have to be you. And that very much most of the trepidation you might have towards motherhood is a result of not having that covering. But think about all the possibilities that come along with doing it the quote unquote right way, doing it the way that it was always intended for you to do. And I did not do that and look at where I am right now. I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily be here today if I had gotten married and had kids, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm not saying that my life would look uh I know it would look very different than it does right now. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is I'm unemployed, moved back in with my mom, wiped out my 401k in Texas. I have so much collateral damage that I've experienced because I was so beholden to not being vulnerable, having control, never seeing the gray area. And these are all attributed to my immature uh ways of thinking, my immature approach to life. And I was talking to a friend earlier and I said to him, "Hey, the thing that I want to do right now is get the most out of where I'm at so that I don't find myself in this place again." Lessons become repeated when you don't get what you're supposed to get from them. My mom would always say that to me. You're just gonna keep going through it until you get what you're supposed to get. And I appreciate her so much for instilling that in me and making sure that I understood that no matter what contention she and I have had, that has remained consistent. Do the work now so you don't have to go through it later. And instead of me wanting to do the work, I was like, ha ha, I found a loophole. I'm going to keep finding loopholes so I don't have to do any of this. And it's like, no, life is like, all right, if that's what you think you're going to do, go ahead. But I'm on the other side of that. Life was on the other side of that door knocking and saying, all right, you could do that. But respectfully, sis, we're gonna be waiting for you on the other side of this door, and you're gonna have to open that door eventually. I don't know if you're gonna like what's on the other side of it because you keep piling all this other stuff on it, running away from vulnerability, running away from your biological imperative, but it's gonna come back for you. So, yes, it is an inside job, uh, and I'm totally aware and understanding of that now on the side of not being able to do much about it. But I think it's important to have those conversations. It's important to let the women in your life know that whatever makes them feel vulnerable and unsafe, it's important to just go ahead and confront regardless. Uh, because once you do, you'll see that not only there is a safe place for you somewhere else, but that it probably wasn't as insurmountable as you thought, you know? I am laser focused on achieving what my heart desires. But in this case, I can't. How do you think that makes me feel? But I got to live with it. Got to do it. And I'll be all right. I really will be. Shout out to Rogish. Rogish hit the Cash App too. Again, the Cash App is still open. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Super appreciative. And that's the thing. Right now, I'm coming to you guys saying this from a place of gratitude. That's why you see hashtag gratitude gal. You may remember the song Attitude Gal. I am the gratitude gal because I am so grateful for just even having the perspective that I have now. There's power in that. There's power in me changing my mind. There's power in me realizing that, hey, things may have been one way before, but they can change for you. And with the growth that I've experienced, understanding that I've got to move a little differently. I've got to get out there and talk to other women who still have the opportunity to turn things around and to gain a different perspective so that they can live the life that I have essentially aged out of, you know? There's a woman in her late 30s, I mean late 20s, early 30s right now that, I care a great deal about and I shook some sense into before I left Texas. And I can see her becoming a mother. Because truth be told, yes, we are good workers. We can work, we can add to the pot in terms of what we can do to bring money into a household and work a job. But our greatest strength is bringing in life. That's where we really shine as women. And so the fact that I'm not going to be able to do that doesn't mean that I can't nurture a life. And so when I am able to, I will. If I have the chance to be yoked to a man who already has children, I will jump at the chance at bringing more life into those children the best way I can as a bonus mom. I'm not against adoption. I'm not against fostering. I don't see those two things being in my future, but I am not against them. Um, however it comes about, I already know it's coming for me though, because you can't make it out of here without that. For as long as I'm breathing and I'm a woman, I can't escape the fact that that is my purpose. Um, so thank you so much for listening to me go on and on about that. Uh, Thank you for allowing me the space to be vulnerable with you guys. I hope that it has given you some insight into who I am and some transparency about what I like, where I see myself going. Um, and going forward, I welcome the conversation. If you have any questions about what I went through, if you have any questions about the Lionsgate portal, please type them in the chat. Um, I also want to express gratitude for my birthday week. You guys hit my Cash App for my birthday really nicely, so I was able to go have a good dinner. That was awesome. I'm totally appreciative of that. So it was nice to be able to wake up on my birthday and do a birthday stream and get so much support from whoever came in through the chat and made comments, and even those of you who joined the panel and talked to me. I think we did like a 2.5 hour stream for my birthday. So that's the cool thing about doing YouTube. I can celebrate milestones and things in my life with you guys as well. And so as I'm doing that, I really hope that you guys are picking up on how genuine I am and that I have nothing but good intentions here. Um, I know that there are some miserable people out there, and those people will only seek to project that. But I got nothing but love in my heart, and that's where any of this is coming from. I am not here to grift. I'm not here to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I'm not here to talk about things that I don't know about. I'm just here to have conversations from the heart and to express my gratitude for listenership. You guys make it all worthwhile. And as I continue to grow on my journey in YouTube, um, you guys will see more of that. And as things start to turn around in my life, I will come back and tell you about them all. I know I'm on the precipice of change, and I don't want anybody to think that I am stuck. I'm continuously moving towards greatness. And I have so much gratitude for you all being here to help facilitate that. The Black Manosphere for offering me insight that I previously did not have. And with that being said, I think I'm going to bring this to a close because I wasn't planning on opening up a panel for this. I said everything that I really wanted to say. Thank you for saying that. Mrs. KP Bailey says, "You're going to be an awesome stepmother." Thank you. That's the goal. That's the plan. I want to be an addition to someone's life, not a replacement. I have so much respect for mothers, and it would be my hope that in being a stepmother, we can do that together. Um, I have an immense amount of respect for motherhood, one that has grown deeper as the years have gone by. So, in the aftermath of my birthday and in the full swing of Leo season, shout out to all the Leos listening and those of you who have Leos in your life. Make sure you get a hug from them. We give really good hugs, being ruled by the sun and all. It's always going to be warm. So, as you know, I like to end my streams by saying this one thing, which is peace, ease, and whatever you please. Come on back next time, all right? I'll see you soon.